look at you now, you're alive. Oh, look at...
Here at Clovelly with Alex Noble. Alex, how do you stay happy in life?
I think there's various strategies, but one of the main ones is that I just know that when I'm 80, I will be a lot more unhealthy and will be sick, and towards the end, and you'll do anything to have your young self back where you're energetic and you can move around and you can go explore and you can go travel and you can breathe easily and you can get up out of bed whenever you want. So I'm like, while I have that privilege, I'm like, I got to embrace it, soak it up, and maximise my time here, because one day I won't have it, and in that moment I wish I did. I wish I made the most of it. So
It seems like today a lot of people are like negative. Like some people, they have like the mansion, they have like successful family, but they're still unhappy. How do you stay happy when you, like, on the outside? It doesn't seem like you've sort of got much. Like everything seems to be taken away from you.
Well, I think our happiness isn't dependent upon our circumstances and what we have and how good our house is. Our happiness and the way we feel is just dependent on the way we think about what we have. So, don't try and control what you have. You should control your own thoughts about what you have. Lower your standards and expectations, and that point of where you feel happy, to be happier with the more mundane normality things, because those people with everything, their expectations are so high, so when everyday life doesn't meet that high, they're not happy, so they remain unfulfilled. So I think lower your expectations and you find happiness more constantly.
So, do you think we need to be more bored to be happy, or to go through adversity to be happy?
100%. What I often talk about is like the pursuit of happiness, that you're never actually going to get to that state of happiness. You're going to get short-term feelings of satisfaction when you get that peak, or when you're drinking that alcohol, or when you buy that new house. You'll feel happy, sure, but a week later or a month later, it's going to come back down, because it's like hedonic adaptation. You'll get used to it, and it will no longer give you that satisfaction. And then you'll need something more, maybe a better house or more alcohol, and then you turn to drugs, and then you ruin your life. So I think that boredom is very important, because it forces you to appreciate the now and the more mundane things. And what you'll also find is that it's no longer mundane. It's actually, the mundane normality becomes incredibly beautiful.
Sure. And how do you sort of find purpose in your life? If you say like, we can't like always be happy, how can we find like that purpose to sort of like lead us into a positive direction?
Yeah, well, even when I wake up in the morning and I'm tired and just did like a 15-hour day the day before, and it's like 5 a.m. and it's dark, and the last thing I want to do is get up and work, go to whatever I'm doing. I remember that, that purpose drives me anyway to do so. So even if I don't feel like I still do it. And the way I find my purpose is realizing that life is so much more than me, so much more than the way I feel. Like in 2,000 years' time, who the hell is going to remember me and how I felt on the 21st of August, and what this person said to me and made me feel upset. So it's like, it doesn't matter, it's so insignificant. So if you realize that life is so much more than yourself, and that what I try to do is try to create something or make an impact that is going to transcend our generation into future generations. So like in 2,000 years, my impact is going to continue to influence that generation. What I try to do is spread my message as far as possible, try to help as many people to become happy, so they can then pass on those lessons to their kids, and their kids grow up and pass on to their kids. So in 2,000 years' time, my message is still around, helping the world, and that makes me realise and feel that whenever I'm upset or whenever I'm tired, I continue to go forward and find that state of peace and content, no matter what.
Do you think people treat you differently because you're in a wheelchair?
I think some people do. Some people are great, don't get me wrong, like just like normal. But a lot of people do look at you differently, or do treat you different, like I guess maybe inferior. But what I try to do, one of my life's purposes, is to show the world that just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can not only be average and like someone else, you can actually be so much greater than the average person. You can be the greatest person in the world. You can become the president. You can become a Muhammad Ali. So I try to do that by trying to do it myself, to show people that they can do it too. And what that does is also helps like someone that is able-bodied to show them that if someone in a wheelchair can do it, well then you can too. And it also shows people that are in a similar situation, in a wheelchair, that you too can live a life that is incredible, and your life isn't over when you get injured, but it can be greater than it ever was before. So that's kind of what also drives me every day. Yeah.
Do you also have like a spiritual practice? I sort of remember in your book you said you're Christian.
Yeah.
Do you think that sort of like grounds you?
Yeah, like I said in my book. So I said that I use prayer as like a meditation strategy. But even if you aren't Christian or religious at all, like you can speak to anything. You just need to speak to something in order to help you reflect and help you to implement your own strategies. Because if you have nothing to speak to or nothing to like, I don't know, explore with, then you're just going to do the same thing that you've always done. So I use prayer, but yeah, just meditation. And I kind of, what I often say to myself is, or say to the thing that I'm talking to, or if it's God or whatever it is that someone else can do, is I picture myself in a situation where I'm worse off. And when I'm in that situation where I'm worse off, I would say to myself, where I am today, that, wow, I'll do anything to be where I actually am right now. And so that way, it just immediately puts me in a state of happiness, no matter what. So it's just a simple meditation. I don't like to really call it meditation, but I guess it kind of is. Yeah. But that way, just an easy, effective, immediate strategy to put me in a state of stability and happiness, even in the worst times.
Just lastly, what's your sort of like best bit of advice for sort of living a good life?
Yeah, I think simple but effective advice is that when you're older, you're going to wish you took that risk. You're going to wish you got out of your comfort zone and got uncomfortable and tried something new and worked a bit harder and got up earlier and went to bed later in order to create the life that you want. So when you are older, you're in that life that you've always wanted. Because the worst thing that can ever happen to anybody, I think, is that you're on your deathbed and you were wondering what you could have become and who you could have become and who you could have helped. And I think that you should avoid that at all costs.
All right, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it.